you out there? Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Not sure what's going on here. Of course, every morning I have some type of technical issue going on. But we're going to get that under control as soon as possible. Again, good morning. Good morning. I am Jamie, commonly known as FranklyJamee across all social media platforms. This show is brought to you by onamericanstreets.com. That's onamericanstreets.com. If you haven't liked or subscribed, please do if you feel like I've earned it at the end of the show. Good morning and happy Monday. Happy Monday. I'm trying to find the comments. Again, I'm not sure what's going on here. Do this over again. Why is nothing? I think you are out there. Good Monday morning. This is just like Monday to do this, right? It's not really abnormal for a Monday to throw a curveball, right? There's a lot of things going on this week, like a lot of things. I don't think there's enough time in the day to keep track with everything that's going on right now. Hopefully you guys can hear me all right. The music is off. And I don't know. I don't know where the comments went, so it'll just have to be what it is. I didn't even get a notification, so I'm not sure if we were live. I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it, and we will see later. Okay, so good morning, everyone. Happy Monday to you. And I want to come on and talk about a couple of things. So a few things are going on today. The Ghislaine Maxwell trial started, and I wanted to get access to that as far as the audio goes, and because they did have a live audio feed for the jury, and I was going to connect that live audio feed and stream that, but they have not updated the code for access to it. So the code no longer works, and there's rumors flying around that the live audio feed was just for the jury selection. And if you're not aware of who Ghislaine Maxwell is, she's charged with 8 counts, and a lot of them have to do with sex trafficking regarding thank you, Linda. I am live. I'm being told I am live. Thank you. I cannot see your comments this morning, so I don't know what's going on. So I'm just going to run my mouth and see where we go from there. Regarding Jeffrey Epstein and his island and all of the big elites that were in, cahoots with this whole sex trafficking thing and the girls. So I really wanted to see that trial, but because it's federal, it's not going to be televised. I thought there would be an audio feed, and I was going to connect to that and stream it that way, but I cannot get access to that because the access code is not correct. And I'm not the only one that they know this. We can follow the docket on Court Listener. There's some links I can put in the description box, but I mean, reading is not as exciting as listening. I'd rather listen to it, but it is what it is. Also, tomorrow, the trial for the shooting and killing of Dante Wright. It was the female officer. I believe her name was Kim Porter. She is the one who said she accidentally pulled her firearm. She thought that she was pulling her taser. Kim Potter. She said that she didn't realize she had pulled her gun. She thought she was pulling her taser when she shot him and killed him. Her trial starts tomorrow, November 30th, and that will be televised. And I thought it was really interesting because it wasn't going to be televised, but then the judge changed their mind and decided that it would be televised. And I'm wondering if that was a strategic move to distract us from the Maxwell trial. I don't know. I just really is really frustrating and irritating that they continue to push the really important trials like this sex trafficking trial. This is a really big deal. I mean, we're talking about, well, I've said it numerous times. If you've watched me for any length of time, I say all the time that the U.S. is one of the largest consumers of sex trafficking. So, this is a supply and demand business. It's like any other business, right? It's supply and demand. And if there was no demand for it, there would be no need for a supply. But we actually are one of the largest consumers of the sex trade. And a lot of those are children. Years back when I looked up some stats, 800,000 children went missing per year, and I can assure you not all 800,000 of those children are dead. They were being used and sold into sex trafficking rings, at a young age, and then they grow up into it. And so Ghislaine Maxwell is being charged with, let's see here. I have this written down. She's 58, and she is being charged with 1 count of enticing a minor to travel to engage in illegal sex acts, which carries a maximum. Okay, this is going to if this does not make you sick, I don't even know what will. It's the same as like Joseph Rosenbaum having been convicted of 11 counts of sexual deviance towards children, 5 boys that were between the ages of 9 and 11, right? And he was only in jail for like 12 or 13 years. I mean, it just makes me want to, it's so disgusting, right? So the enticing of a minor to travel to engage in illegal sex acts carries a maximum sentence of 5 years. 1 count of conspiracy to entice a minor to travel to engage in illegal sex acts carries a maximum of 5 years. 1 count of transporting a minor with the intent to engage in sexual activity carries a maximum of 10 years. So 10, that's 20, if she was to be found guilty on all those charges. Count of conspiracy to transport a minor with the intent to engage in criminal sex activity. Maximum of 5 years. And then 2 counts of perjury, which will actually be tried separately. And each of those counts carries a maximum of 5 years. So even if she was to be found guilty on all of them, that's really not enough time. That's not enough time for a grown woman who literally found and brought girls in to be sexually molested and raped by grown men. It's just not enough time. I don't even know how she sleeps at night. So today's show, I'm going to talk about some things that are pretty heavy. If anything about family court, abortion, or rape is triggering, this may not be the show for you. So I just want to throw that out there as a precursor. This is not the show that you want to be listening to if that's something that triggers you. Good morning, dear. What are you looking for? No, it's not. It's not in here. You're not gonna find it. Okay, so also this week we have a big thing happening with in New York. Is it in New York? No, it's not in New York. Oh, where is it? Quincy, if you're watching, where are you going? Okay. We have a big thing coming up with Roe versus Wade and the possibility that this country may see a gigantic shift in the legalities surrounding the right to abortions. Now, this has been a hot topic since day one. And these days, it has been changed from abortion to women's health care. And unfortunately, it's not health care. It's just taking a life. And I've done a lot of, it may be Washington, D.C. I've done a lot of research regarding this. And I can talk about this. Here, you're not going to find it. Please exit. No. Well, okay, we'll talk about that later. Mom life. Mom life. So, I have a lot to say on the subject, because, one, I've been raped twice, and I've had an abortion as well. So I have a lot of words regarding these topics. And with abortion, no matter where you stand on the spectrum, we're always losing a life in an abortion. And no matter what the reason is for having an abortion, and this is one of the main reasons why, it's not healthcare. There may be some serious issues that a woman faces during a pregnancy where the pregnancy may need to be terminated. They are out there, right? There are some serious issues. But we're talking about, when you're talking about serious medical issues, rape or incest, you're talking about less than 2%, and maybe even less than 1%. I haven't looked at the stats for quite some time. I used to be in this a lot, looking up the numbers all the time, but I haven't in several years, so I'm not exactly sure what has gone. I highly doubt it's gone up too much, but I'll say less than 2% of all abortions are due to medical necessity, what few medical necessities there are, and then rape and incest. So you can't use the rarity. You can't use the exception to justify the whole, right? When you have 98% of abortions that fall under one of two categories. One is fear, and the other is pride. So give me your excuse. Tell me why. Give me your reason. Whatever it may be. Give me a reason. I wish I could see the comments. I really wish I could see the comments. Why is this? It's kind of frustrating. Tell me the reason. Any reason. Throw them out there. And they will fall into one of those two categories. They will fall either into pride or fear. I had an abortion out of straight fear. I didn't think I could do this alone. I was the man who dropped me off at the clinic. I was inconsolable. Inconsolable. It wasn't a decision that I was making lightly. I didn't want to make that decision. It was out of pure fear that I would have to do it by myself, that I wouldn't be able to, that he wouldn't help, that I wouldn't be able to provide for the child, so many things were going through my head at the time. I was totally inconsolable and did not want to make that decision and did it anyway. There are people out there who just want to have a career. There's just not time for them. This is not the time I'm not ready. I don't want to deal with a kid. I don't want this to mess up my plans. That's pride. So you've got different things that are going on, and I'd like to see a reason that falls outside of one of those. I haven't found one yet. I've heard a lot of reasons why women get abortions, and they can always fall into one of those categories, fear or pride, both of which are temporary. So we're looking at I was ignorant too, Lisa. I had no idea. I wish somebody had told me more, right? I wish I had known that it was like a baby. Like, I didn't know. I just didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea what it entailed, like what was going on. And so I made a permanent solution. I made a permanent decision. I made a decision for a permanent solution to a temporary problem. I would have been perfectly fine with a child, with another child. I already had my oldest. I would have been perfectly fine with another child. I would have survived. I would have thrived. You know, my life obviously would have looked different to some degree. But, you know, for many, many years after that, I didn't even think that I deserved any more children. And here I have 8. I really struggle with even feeling like I deserve those children, you know? And so we're up against a really big thing right now going on, beginning this week, Wednesday, with this abortion and the possible situation where this could be overturned. There could be some drastic changes to Roe versus Wade. And what we know right now is Roe versus Wade, there was no baby even aborted in that original ruling. That child is alive and well. Jane Roe, I don't think that was her real name, but she's dead now, but her daughter lives on. She was actually pregnant at the time, and her daughter lives on. Her daughter is alive and well. There was no abortion that even took place in the time that this Roe versus Wade was put into place, you know, and it's never been solidified. It's always been a fear of people who argue the women's healthcare piece of it. There's always been a fear that this will be overturned. It's never been a solidified, solid precedent that's been set where it will never be overturned. It's always been a concern, right, that it's going to go backwards. Now, there's so much more that goes into this. So, if you watched BCP over the weekend or on Friday, I believe, I can't remember which day, he showed the shooting of the man who had showed up to pick up his son. I'm not going to show the video again because we're literally watching a man die. So I'll tell you a little bit about what it's about if you have seen it. So a man shows up to his ex-wife's house, and he's there to pick his son up. And the video shows us his current wife is in the car videotaping what's going on. He's upset, and he's saying 3:15. He's talking to the ex, 3:15. I get him at 3:15. She's saying things like, well, I wanted to see him. It says, you know, it's you after work. You're supposed to come after work. I wanted to see him. You were supposed to pick him up at 6. And he's like, no, 3:15. It has nothing to do with when I get off work. I don't care if you want to see him. If you want to see him, you see him up till 3:15. And so he's in a kind of a heated debate going back and forth. He says, you know, if you keep doing this, if you keep hiding my son from me. So we see in that this isn't the first time. He says, I'm fixing to take you and Anna Marie and your mom and all of them to court. Right? He's angry because this is, again, he's not able to get his son when he's supposed to get him. And you can see that this is an ongoing situation. This is ongoing. This isn't his first time around this mountain with this woman and his son. And so the woman's, I don't know if it's her boyfriend or whoever, he goes inside, gets a gun, comes out, shoots at his feet, and then the guy, you know, he gets angry when he comes out with the gun. He's like, you better use it or I'll take it from you and I'll use it on you or something like that. I don't know exactly what he said, but he got angry as soon as he saw the gun. So the guy shoots at his feet. When he shoots at his feet, the guy tries to take the gun, which I don't blame him. Somebody just shot at him. I would probably try and take it too. The guy quickly switches angle, goes out, shoots twice, and he dies right there on the porch. Now, a lot of people are talking, you know, is this self-defense? Is that? I would like to come at it from a completely different standpoint that has nothing to do with the shooting itself, this exposes a much bigger problem that we have here in this country, and that is family court. The family court system is one of the worst systems I have ever seen. It is so bizarre to me, and I dealt with it when I was growing up, but not so much because we just didn't have to deal with it. My dad was not present, so we didn't have to deal with it much. And when it came to child support, we didn't get any. And then later on, my mom wrote off all of my dad's child support so that he would have the ability to get a job and a license and all of these other things, right? She did it for him. She didn't have to do that. Okay, so anyways, I've dealt a lot with it during the last 10, 11 years of my life, and it is horrifying. It is absolutely horrifying. So what we see is a lot of that woman that was in the video. Typically, the way that the family court system is set up is you have a marriage, and then you have some kids, you get divorced, you go into court, mom gets full custody, dad gets every other weekend. So that's your cookie cutter template, we'll say. That's your template for families. That's traditional. That's usually what happens. Now, there are some rare occurrences where the man will get full custody, or, you know, you'll have people who may have been married and but they were still friends, and they just said, you know what, this isn't going well, let's co-parent. They co-parent really well. They have every other week. They are still friends. They're friends with each other's exes. It's just a big family. You know, you do have those incidents, and that is great. And I definitely think that, you know, if you're not going to stay married until death, if you're able to separate and still be friends and create this family, that is the most ideal situation. Because at the end of the day, the child, the kids, the young people involved are the ones who will suffer the most. I'm not saying that the adults won't suffer, but adults tend to, you know, they break up, they find somebody new, they move on. Okay, what can kids do though? They can't break up with their parents, find someone new, and move on. It's not how it works for them. The parents break up. The kids now don't have what they did. And then the parents find somebody new, and the kids usually suffer some type of trauma in their lives regarding it. And they can't just move on. They can't find new parents and move on. They can't find a new family and move on. And then if there's fighting that ensues, there's backbiting, there's chaos, there's this back and forth. There's this thing we saw in the film where, you know, and this happens a lot. The women want to just take control of the situation. They don't honor the court documents. They don't honor the orders that are already set. The court orders aren't even that great to begin with. Every other weekend is the most absurd idea I've ever heard. A child needs their opposite parent more than every other weekend. That is so absurd to me. Every other weekend. That's 4 days a month. That's, let's see, 48 days a year. There's 365 days in a year. And you're telling me that every other weekend is sufficient for a child with their opposite parent? That does not make sense to me. And largely, it's the men, the fathers, the dads, the people who want to be parents are the ones who get the short end of the stick. And it's frustrating because not only do the dads not get time, but they are summoned to pay money for children instead. So if we're talking about family court, And the best thing for children is we're trying to do the best thing for children, and we want you to support your child. What is the best thing to support a child? Is it just throwing money at them? Or is it spending time, bonding, working on schoolwork, teaching them, raising them up, being there for them, a shoulder to cry on, having experiences, making memories? Those are the things that support the child. But the only thing the court system, family court system, considers is financial support. And a lot of times what happens is men get so frustrated with having to deal with controlling women who don't even follow the court orders anyway, that they just pay and say, forget it. I'll just pay and I don't even want to see my kid anymore. Or they won't fight the woman to see their kid. Because, see, we saw that man fighting to try and get his kid, and she was hiding the kid or doing whatever with the kid. We don't know where the child was. That gets tiring, you guys. And I've done this. I have done this. It's a horrible, horrible situation to be in. It's defeating. It's defeating. So we have all of these men out there who actually want to be dads, who pay child support regularly. They're not behind. They're up to date. They're willing to do it all. But the court system, instead of giving them their child like they should have, it should be 1 week on, 1 week off. It should be half and half. Nobody should be paying child support unless there's extra. If you were actually co-parenting, then each person would have their own everything for their child. The child would basically have double, right? So you would have one full home at one place and one full home at another place. Half and half. Nobody's switching money back and forth. Unless you're co-parenting, something comes up and you're saying, hey, we got this big thing coming up. Let's pitch in and pay for this together. Absolutely. Yes. Let's do that. That should be done. That is amazing parenting. Or your kid's going over to mom's house this weekend, and hey, here's some extra money in case you guys go do something. Nothing wrong with that. Let's do it. Let's do that. But no, what we have is a lot of women out there who are power hungry or constantly want to be in control of something, and they're stripping, and the court systems are designed the same way to strip the fathers of their rights and ultimately of their children. And I see this happen all the time, and it is so heartbreaking. And we saw that happen in that video. That man was having his child stripped from him, and ultimately he had his life taken, and his child now doesn't have his dad at all. Financial support is not child support. It's not child support. Very rarely do the kids actually get that check and they cash it and it's theirs. That's not how it works, right? So the adult gets it. They use it for whatever they use it for. It could be for food. It could be for getting their hair done. It could be for paying for clothing for school or just on a daily basis. It could be for clothing for themselves. You never know what the money is being spent on because there's no regulations surrounding the financial child support, right? There's none of that. There's nothing surrounding the emotional, mental, and physical child support that needs to happen. Nothing regarding that. And then we have just the financial child support system needs to be revamped anyway, because the way that the system is set up is it's based on how I'm just now getting the notifications for this show. We're like a half an hour in. Thanks, Facebook. We may be having some new people join us today. We'll see. It's a half hour in. So then you have men who are paying their dues. They're paying their child support. They're not seeing their kids. and they get no tax breaks. So why is that the thing? Have you ever noticed that you can pay out child support all year long, and the other parent, the parent who's receiving the child support, which is mostly moms, get the tax breaks and all that at the end of the year? They get the fat checks at the end of the year, even though they're not the ones who paid into that. It is so bizarre to me how our system works. So then we take a look at abortions. And, you know, a lot of the argument that comes from women is you don't have a uterus, you can't carry a child, you don't have a say. Here's my problem with that. It takes two to make a child. Two people. It takes a sperm and an egg to make a child. There's no getting around that. You have to have both, whether it's done in a natural way, whether it's done in vitro, whether it's done in a lab, however it's done. Because I know there's a lot of different ways to do it these days, especially with like surrogate mothers and people who can't carry them or have issues with the natural process, and it needs to be more controlled. There's a lot of different ways that it can happen, but in every situation, you need a sperm and you need an egg. You can't make a baby without both, right? So when it comes to having abortions, how come men have no rights to their child? If a man wants to raise the child, why are they not given that opportunity? Why can they not take on full custody of that child from the beginning? Okay, sure, a woman will carry the baby. I don't know why that's seen as some horrid thing. It's a privilege. It's like not everybody can do that, you know? Not even all women can do that. There's a lot of women out there who don't even have that ability to carry a child. No. Not even all women have the ability to carry a child to full term like that. So the woman carries the child, but she wants to do something else, right? That's fine. A man should have the rights to have his child and raise his child. I have heard many stories out there where the man did want the child and the woman chose to abort it anyway. So now we have this man who wanted that kid. It was a piece of him. He helped create that child. They should get first rights. If a woman wants to have an abortion, the man should have first rights to it. First rights to that child. If they want that child, they should be able to have that child. It just doesn't make sense to me that every step of the way, the man is put to the back burner and it doesn't matter about him, even though we have seen that kids who have fathers do better in life. They do better. They do well in life. When we had our first, we had Corbin. He's 9 now. Man, that kid, he really stretched me because me and Quincy, he came with 2. I came with 1. I should have came with 2, mind you. That would have been what I should have came with, but I came with 1. Okay, so he came with 2. I came with 1. We've had 5 together. Now, I was raised as a super independent woman. My mom was single. She raised us well. She did the best with what she had, right? With what she knew. She was a worker bee like no other. She had 3 jobs for as long as I can remember. You know, it was either we had a roof over our head or we had her, and we had a roof over our head, and she was stable. I mean, she's the most stable woman I have ever known. We knew where she was at all times. She was so predictable. Stability was huge in our life. Like I went to the same elementary school from K through 6. I didn't even know people switched schools. I didn't even know that was a thing until 7th grade came. My mom wanted to get us into a better place than we lived. We lived in a 2-bedroom duplex. And she moved us to a different school district, into a 3-bedroom, brand new home. And although that sounds like a great thing, which Obviously it was. I mean, I couldn't be in the same room with my brother forever, right? In 7th grade, when all of my friends I had grown up with for the last 7 years were moving into middle school together, I was taken to a different school district. And that was a huge tragedy of my life. Huge tragedy. My life definitely took a turn then. I got really rebellious. Things changed. But the thing about it is, I was raised as a very independent woman to do things on my own, for myself. I didn't need to ask for help. I worked. I was a worker bee myself. I held great jobs, which you think is odd because I'm black. I should have never held great jobs. I held great jobs, got paid great money, lived on my own, did my own thing. And so when we had our first child together, Quincy and I, that was a stretch for me because now I'm married and I have a father in my life. My kid has a father in his life. And I had to, and Corbin demanded both of us. Like, I have never seen such a thing. This child demanded mom and dad. And you could tell when he demanded either one of us. And when we were in tune to it, it was like, okay, he doesn't want me. He wants him. And I had to really let go and let God teach me how to see his fathering as good as my mothering. So there's a lot of talk out there. This is very normal for people to say, there's nothing like a mother's love. Mothers are essential. Mothers are this, moms are that, and some more stuff, right? I'm on the other end of the spectrum. Listen, I carried that child. That child grew inside me, and I birthed that child. There is nothing that will ever take that away. The bond is there. It's done deal, right? There is nothing like a father's love. There is nothing like a daddy who is willing and ready to raise up his children. And, being a daddy really shows another side of a man. There's a reason why women are attracted to really fatherly men, right? Because it is very attractive to see a man be a father. And it stretched me. And so Quincy would do things with Corbin, and I would want to correct him. I would want to stop what he was doing or show him how to do it differently and this and that and this and that. And this was a process, right? This was a process. And I had to keep biting my tongue. When he would do something with the kid and I'm thinking it's too dangerous, I'd have to bite my tongue. You know what? He's his dad. He loves him just as much as I do. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't love him more than his father does just because I'm his mom. That's not how that works. A father's love is as intense. They are protectors. They may not nurture the same way that a mom nurtures, but like I said, Corbin demanded both of us. There was times he wanted me, there was times he wanted him. Like, I remember this time when we took him to the dentist and he had some work. He was like 4 years old, I want to say. He was like 4 or 5 years old. And we took him to the dentist. He wanted Quincy to hold him and rock him. He didn't want me to do it. Now, most of the time, people would see that as a mommy's job, right? But Corbin is a very interesting child. And he demanded both of us. And it wasn't your traditional times that he demanded both of us, right? It would be very odd pairings. And you would think he would want his mommy then. Nope, he wanted his daddy. Or you think he'd want his daddy then. Nope, he wanted his mommy. So if we would listen to our children more, they really do want both. They like the structure of both. They need something from both. They get strength and things from both parents, right? And so it was a process, and it took me a long time to really understand that God created man and woman with very different strengths and weaknesses. And our children need those strengths and weaknesses from both mom and dad. And although I've been married one time, I'm not doing it again. This is until death, you know? And if it didn't last till death, it's not going to be another because I'm not doing it again. But if it's not till death, co-parenting with the child in mind is what's important because these children are suffering. They're suffering for it. They're not getting everything that they deserve and everything that they need. I know that studies have been shown that women who don't have fathers tend to be more promiscuous. Boys that don't have father tend to be different. It's important to the child that our family court system come together and create a system that is beneficial for the child, not just for feelings of the mother, who is typically angry, bitter, or in some capacity wants some type of revenge on the dad of their child. Our family court system is broken. Our child support system is broken. We are not supporting children. We are financially taking money from the dad and giving it to the mom. That's all that's happening. So that was kind of an earful. I don't know if I segmented into that all really well, but these are my thoughts regarding these subjects, because they all kind of intertwine with each other. When it comes to the feminist movement, at one point it was make women equal, and now it's a rogue movement at this point, and it's become get rid of men, get rid of everything that has to do with man, get rid of masculinity, get rid of fatherhood, get rid of the traditional family, get rid of the patriarchy. We're dumbing down and weakening our military, which is largely men, right? Although women may have to sign up for a draft here coming soon, which is bizarre. We're weakening our men in every area of life, right? We've got our men in dresses. We've got very effeminate men. This is bad. This is very bad. If we were to go to war, we have a bunch of men who don't believe in guns. Or any weapons. This is not good. This is not good in the long term. And I think, I'm not saying a woman can't use a gun, but women are not physically as strong as men by nature. Now, there's a lot of women out there who lift weights, have gotten really strong, and that is absolutely great. That is great. I have nothing against that whatsoever. And that's not what I'm saying. Most women don't do that. There are a portion of women out there who lift weights every day. They get real strong. They do their thing. But by nature, men are stronger than women. They don't have to do anything to be stronger than women, right? They don't have to go the extra mile to be strong. You don't have a population of women who are naturally strong, right? Men are by nature stronger. They don't have to do anything extra. Now, there are also the portion of men who are out there getting even stronger, right? They do go that extra mile to get strong. But we have, and this is a war on men. This is if I wanted to take over something, taking the strongest warriors out first is definitely the thing to do. I mean, they're taking our strongest warriors out at 5, 6, 7 years old, giving them hormone blockers, going through transitioning periods where they're going from male to female. They're taking out our warriors in elementary school. That's how soon they start. This is, I mean, if people would look long term, this is what I was saying at the beginning of the Big C last year. Okay, I get it. You want to close down, stop the curve or whatever. This has very detrimental long-term effects. And people didn't seem to be thinking about that. And now we're facing inflation. We've had boats in harbors that are unable to unload. We've had so many businesses close. So many. It's like in the hundreds of thousands of small businesses close. There is the market out there is sparse. There are grocery stores and stores that are lacking. We've got there were long-term effects to the beginning of what happened last year. Long-term effects that are still going. Like we're going to still see effects. It's a butterfly effect, a rippling effect. And the same thing with our children. The more that they tear down our children, the more that they destroy the family, the moms and the dads, the co-parenting, all of that, the child support that is held over the heads of men for years upon years upon years, and they don't even get to see their kid. And I'm not talking about the deadbeats, guys. I'm not talking about the deadbeats who don't do anything for their children except pay. And that's all that they're willing to do. They should be paying. They should be supporting their child in some way financially if they won't support their child in any other way, right? I'm not talking about them. And this shouldn't have to be said, but it usually does because people usually don't get it. I'm talking about the men who want to be dads, who want to be a part of their kid's life. Those are the people I'm talking about. Kimberly, what's your problem this morning? What's going on? What's no? What are you saying? What are you saying? I'm missing it. All I saw is your face palm and your no. What are you talking about? I don't know. I don't know what you're saying. I'm missing the context. So, this all goes together. Like I was saying, this all goes together. With the abortion, men have no rights. Family court, men have no rights. We saw it play out this weekend with this case that came out with Chad Reed. His rights were being stomped all over, because the woman was saying, no, you do it my way. And he was like, no, I'm fixing to take all y'all to court. He didn't even get to make it that far. He lost his life that day. His kid lost his dad forever. He's not coming back. And that is not an isolated incident. It's an isolated incident that he lost his life. That doesn't tickle me. Yes, Kimberly, I don't know what you're saying. I'm confused. You said no really well in your emoji. You said no. I don't know your context. What do you disagree with me on? I'm just trying to figure out because I lost the context because I can't see all of the comments, but I saw your avatar because it stands out. That, like I said, it's an isolated incident. Oh, you're agreeing with me. I didn't know. I didn't know. I just saw your avatars go by with the face palm and the no, and I was like, oh no, what's going on? What are you saying? Okay, I get it. But what we're seeing along the line is that men are really getting the short end of the stick here. Our family court system is broken. They should have rights to their children from conception. They should have rights to their children from conception. If the women don't want to take care of them, fine, whatever. If the dad gets first rights, look how many men could be raising their children. There's a lot of men out there who want to raise their children, who want to be a part of their children's lives, and they don't. I have friends who have fought to have their children. Do you know how much lawyers cost? You think they're a prosecutorial misconduct in the Rittenhouse case? Take yourself to family court. Take yourself to family court. A lot of those men can't afford lawyers. They can't afford lawyers. Or they have a effeminate lawyer. We had a lawyer that was absolutely ridiculous. He didn't fight for anything. He didn't fight for us. And he even told us that the system was set up for women. Was more set up for women to win. I'm sorry. was more set up for the women to win. It's a very women biased system because moms. I'm here to tell you, moms are not better than fathers. The kids need both. They need both parents. They can benefit from fathers in their lives, helping them, raising them up, doing the things that they need. Now, I'm telling you, if you have a deadbeat dad that has horrible things, that not raising them up right, then don't do that. That's not good. That's not good at all. Because then you've got a guy who could be raising, I've seen a family out there. Every single boy has ended up in prison. Every single boy. Every single boy in that family has ended up in prison. Something needs to change there. And I think the dad messed up big time. But again, it was another broken family. And, if we understood the long-term effects of broken families in general, there's a reason why the Lord says that marriage is until death, right? It's not until we disagree. It's not until we get to something where we what's the main thing for irreconcilable differences? Not until we get to things that we can't reconcile. The basis for Christianity, the foundation of Christianity is reconciliation. It's why Jesus died, right? So we were unreconciled to the Lord. And he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever should believe in him, shall not perish but have everlasting life, right? That was a bridge of reconciliation. That was the Lord giving his Son so that we had a bridge to walk over and reconcile to the Lord. It's like literally the foundation of Christianity. And yet there are 50% or more divorces in church, within the church. A place where reconciliation is literally the foundation. There should be nothing that we can't overcome in our marriages. Now I've gone into something completely different. I was talking about parenting, but I guess it does it fits because it's all about this family dynamic, right? And our children are very fragile beings. Quincy talked about some things yesterday in his live regarding his daughter and different things that she was talking about and thinking and freedoms. If we give our kids too much freedom, it's destructive. We need to give them productive freedom, not destructive freedom. There are two very different things. Destructive freedom is what kids have today, largely what kids have today. And I can't tell you how many mom groups I was in prior to COVID. I was in so many mom groups. I left all of them, because all of them were toxic, every single one of them. And it didn't matter if it was a Christian one or a secular one or an in-between one. They were all toxic. And I can't tell you how many times I saw a thread come by talking about cell phones and how many moms wished they hadn't done it. Because it's a destructive freedom. And we have to learn the difference between productive and destructive freedom. Kids having cell phones is not just about, we can trust our kids all day long, right? It's not just about what we think our kids will do. Having a cell phone lets the world have access to them. So my son was just on the computer the other day, and I came in, and he had gotten into something online. He made a comment about there only being two genders or something, and somebody made a comment and said, "Oh, look, a homophobe, attack him," or say something mean about him or something like that, right? So everybody attacked him because he was probably the only person on this thread or whatever who believed that there was only two genders or whatever. And so everybody was coming after him. And I came in after, my son's pretty bold. He says things that most teenagers that go to public school wouldn't say. He doesn't go to public school. That's probably why. So I come in the room, and after about a half hour or so, and I said, is everything okay? He's like, yeah. I said, okay, well, I'm just letting you know that the cyber world can be pretty intense, and I don't want you to get sucked up into that and believing or taking to heart things that people say to you from the internet world. He's like, well, she blocked me. And I said, okay, that's good. I said, but I want you to learn to use the block button as well, right? Because if people start coming after you, I want you to know that you have options to separate yourself from that type of interaction. Because it can get to you. I mean, we've seen I don't know if you guys have seen the many documentaries that are out there of young girls who have gotten themselves into a position and ended up being bullied through school, had pictures taken, shared around, and then they are literally cyberbullied to death, to where they end up taking their own life because they don't see. Now, for me, this may be an unpopular opinion, but I'll tell you what. Those girls who ended up being cyberbullied, if the phone was taken, this is what I was saying. You can trust your kids all day long, but they had access to her too. If the parents had taken the phone and the girls weren't able to consume themselves in the bullying, in the cyber attacks, they let it consume them. That's all they did was scroll through. They were scrolling, an infinite scroll of people tearing them down, an infinite scroll of the internet mob tearing them apart. And no one ever thought to take the phone away, take the options for her to see it away. Kids do not have to have access to all of this. They don't have to have it. And in fact, in many cases, we've seen it would have been life-saving to not have access to it. I know that's an unpopular opinion. There are people out there who will argue up and down why their kids have to have a cell phone. That's fine. Whatever. That's fine. But I don't agree with any of the reasons. I don't agree with any of them. We all survived. We all survived. I tell my kids all the time. I didn't get a cell phone until I was 18. I survived perfectly fine. Of course, we had Yellow Pages, and we had payphones, and we have a landline in our home. Our kids get to use the phone. They can call whoever they want on the landline. They just don't get to sit in their room, isolated, texting, not having real interaction, not hearing voices, spending all of their time writing words that aren't even words. IKR, I know, right? Or BRB. I mean, my kids aren't practicing acronyms for everything. And you do acronyms, that's fine. I'm not trying to be critical of people who use acronyms for their wording. But what I'm saying is these kids practice this on a daily basis instead of practicing, like, really writing, really communicating with people. This is an epidemic. This is an epidemic. This is definitely an epidemic, and it is our job as parents, mothers and mothers and fathers, to regulate for our children who are still developing, who are still growing, and when they hit, their teen years, now we not just growing and developing, we've got puberty, we've got hormones, we've got all kinds of stuff going on, right? And it's not easy. Having teenagers has not been easy, but it's not horrific, but it's our job to protect them. So we have to evaluate what is productive freedom versus destructive freedom. There was a time during the Big C last year where there were some people who were saying, "Oh, I haven't seen my kid in, a week." Well, where are they? It's like, where'd they go? They're in their room. They don't even ever see them because they're in the room all the time on their tablet or their phone. I'm like, no, not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. There is too much that can be done in one night, let alone an entire week or 2 or 3 or 4. A cell phone is what got us to lose custody of one child because we were dealing with a liberal lawyer, and she believed that she should have all rights to phones at all times with no rules or regulations, and we didn't. And we didn't move. We wouldn't budge. And it ended with us not having custody because our world, our society thinks that children should have whatever they want, whenever they want, and that's just not how it should go. So, parents' rights are under attack as well, and we see that even in the school board systems, in the school board meetings where, the FBI and wanted to label parents as domestic terrorists. Yeah, because parents are waking up to the dangers that the kids are in. We had the Big C last year. Parents started seeing what their kids were actually going through in schools. The kids were being instructed. A lot of parents may not know this. Kids were being instructed to be in a place where their back was to a wall so that the parents and guardians couldn't be behind them watching what they were doing. These teachers did not want parents seeing what was going on within the classrooms, right? So there's a war on parents' rights because the government and the education system want to take control of your children because that is where they're the most sponge-like, right? They're the most spongy. My eldest son just called our daughter Baby Rain. You guys have seen her. She's a little chunky, right? Rightly so. She's been nursing for a year. You know how that nursing milk is. She was born a stick figure. She had no meat on her body. She was like 6 pounds. If that. I think she went down below 6. She's chunky now. She is healthy. She is bouncy. She looks like she's stuffed in her body, a lot of times. And he called her a little fatty. And his sister said, "Oh, don't body shame her." Wait, what? Since when is that body shaming? Babies are chunky. Babies are fat. That's good. That's a good sign. We want them to be fat. Who doesn't like a chubby baby? Like, who doesn't absolutely love their little cheeks and their rolls and all the... It's okay. It's not body shaming a baby. It's loving the fact that they are chubby. And we're calling it what it is. We don't have to keep changing what the thing is. We don't have to keep changing the titles of things to make people feel better. We don't have to keep changing what things are called. I don't know if you guys have heard about the professor who wanted to stop calling pedophiles because it stigmatizes them. They want us all to call them child attracted people or something like that. Just disgusting. They don't want to stigmatize a pedophile because of the negative connotations that come with it, like trash, criminal, disgusting, like a lot of things that I probably shouldn't say because I probably shouldn't say anything. But we don't want to call them pedophiles. We don't want to call a baby chunky, chubby. Like, they are, though. They are. And good thing for that. That is a healthy baby right there. A healthy, bouncing baby. And I love her. And I don't care if she stays that way or not. She's amazing, So these are the things. I mean, people are just turning crazy. They're turning crazy. But this is what's happening in the education system. is they're hijacking our children's minds. And this is very bad. And so then we have the family court system, right, that's helping hijack these kids from healthy families. And not every family is healthy. Again, I'm not talking about the exception. I'm talking about the whole. If we had a better family court system that didn't just cookie cutter a man out of the child's life into every other weekend, we would probably have healthier children moving forward. I'm not talking about the exceptions, guys. I'm talking about the whole. The whole. We can't use the exception to justify the whole. Yes, there are some very, very bad situations, very bad families where either the man, the husband, the mom or the dad needs to be completely cut out. Those do happen. We've got severe abuse cases. We've got, molestation. We got a lot of that stuff. I'm not talking about that stuff. That goes without saying. It goes without saying. It should go without saying. I'm not talking about the exception. I'm talking about the whole regular system. It's a cookie cutter system. You get a divorce, you go in, the dad gets every other weekend, the mom gets full custody. That is your cookie cutter template. That's what's happening to our families. And then women are typically taking over control. They decide when the dad can come and get them. We see what happened the other day with that guy. He ended up losing his life. That shouldn't have happened. He was murdered, in my opinion. It wasn't self-defense. But that's neither here nor there. I guess, hopefully that guy gets a trial. There hadn't been any charges filed as of the time that I was reading it. So, yeah, there's just so much going on. Men should have rights. They should have rights to their babies. As we go into this week of Roe versus Wade, they should have rights to their babies. They should have rights to parenting, not just every other weekend. They should get some tax credit for the child support they provide. The child support system should be completely overhauled to include mental, emotional, and physical support, not just financial support. So there's definitely things that need to change, right? We definitely need to see some changes regarding the family court system, how we see moms, how we see dads, and we need to stop trying to destroy the families. We need to stop destroying the families, which is destroying our children. And like I said on many, many, many times before, it's our children that are being destroyed every step of the way, from the womb all the way through toddlerhood, elementary, middle school. The children are being destroyed every step of the way. The sex trafficking, the family court system, the abortions, the education system, the medical system now, all of these things are destroying our children. This is a bad thing. Think long term. Think long term. Look at our children now. Look out into the world of what we're having. We have children actually being taught how to be Antifa in school. Think long term on that. What's that going to look like when they become 20, 30 years old? What's that going to look like? Parenting is always one of those things. I don't think I said thank you to my mom until I was 25 years old. Parenting is one of those things where the reward is sometimes decades away. I don't always sit down every day and think to myself, this is really rewarding. Wow. I look around and it looks like tornadoes have hit my house. There's messes everywhere. They're yelling. They're screaming. They've got an attitude. They're talking back. Just all kinds of things. I don't always look at them and go, man, this is just the most rewarding thing ever. No. Sometimes the reward doesn't come until decades down the line. So we have to think long term on this. Okay. Let me read some of the comments. Thank you for the comments on Baby Rain. She is super cute. She was a fatty. I was chunky when I was a kid too. Well, I'm chunky now, but not like I was when I was then. They need to be called what they are. Absolutely. Pedophiles are disgusting. Oh, your second great grand minor attracted person. Yeah, that was it. Ugh, gross. How are they even trying to normalize that? Is so disgusting to me. I love chunky men too. You eat well. Yes, people are way too sensitive. Chunky babies are great. I was 30 years old before I got a cell phone. Sometimes I wish I never got one. I am totally with you, man. You know, the cell phones are a whole nother beast. I mean, even me. I've had to take detoxes from it. I'll go to get on my phone and I'm like, oh, I want to look up that thing, and I get on there and I start scrolling. 5 minutes will go by and I'm like, oh man, I was gonna look up that thing. Go to do it again. I start scrolling. Crap, I wanted to look up that thing. So I go to look up. This can happen like 3-5 times. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how annoying. Like, it's annoying to me and I'm the one doing it to me. And I frustrate myself. Like, they are addictive. They shorten our attention span. They say there's studies been done that we are like on the brink of having a shorter attention span than goldfish. There have been studies done that if a page doesn't load within 2 seconds, people leave. 2 seconds, folks. 2 seconds. We are not patient enough to wait for a page to load for 2 seconds. We expect it to pop up. There are times I'm flipping through my phone and I'm like, my fingers are moving faster than, I'm expecting things to, I'm just like clicking around. I know what I want to do. I'm clicking around and the thing is not clicking fast enough. I'm like, click faster. They're addictive. The infinite scroll, and then on top of that, we've got big tech deciding what we see when we scroll, right? So it's all very destructive to a brain that is still developing. So, yeah. Like this kid right now, he wants to play with a phone. Don't you?
Yeah, can you play Saturday?
He's not going to play with one. I do let them have access to them periodically, like our old phones, that still have things on them. I do let them have access just so they're not completely, they know what's going on. They know how to use a phone, right? Corbin, we have a Facebook page for the kids, and he goes on there and he'll post a picture or whatever of himself or the family or something. He posts pictures on there, and then a couple days will go by and he's like, "Can I check my notifications?" So, anyways, but they don't just get to have access to them, do whatever they want. 25, yeah, yep, 25, 40. Wow, yeah. See, we have a very unique generation where we're the transition from analog into digital, right? So we understand the beauty of the analog times, right? The TVs that we had to get up to change a channel on, or turn the volume up on, a time where we had yellow pages, phone books, pay phones, curly cord landlines, analog clocks. We have this memory of a slower period in time. Everything moved a little slower. We had more interaction with people. We were, kids were outside more, did more bike riding, rollerblading. I remember when I was in my teens, I was out there. I wasn't inside on my phone. I was outside. We lived in a place where we were right on an intersection. So the intersection, like our house was right here and the street went straight and then it went like this. So it was a T. We were right there. And I would go outside and sweep the whole entire intersection. It was in a neighborhood, so it wasn't super busy with traffic. I would literally take the broom out there. Not like a push broom. It was a regular broom. And I would sweep the whole intersection so that I could rollerblade and act like I was an ice skater. I was a teen doing this. Like, when I moved to this place, I was 13. So 13, 14, 15 years old, I was out there sweeping the intersection so I could rollerblade and pretend that I was an ice skater. Those are the kind of things we had. babysitting jobs. We delivered newspapers. So back then, you could deliver newspapers as a kid. We, had those newspapers all rolled up in the little bag that went over the top of our bicycle, and we would go and we would deliver the newspaper to each house, and then we would have to go back at the end of the month and collect the money door to door. I mean, this was when it was still okay to do that. It was still okay to interact with strangers in such a way, for a kid to interact with strangers in such a way. I mean, you just couldn't even do that these days, right? I mean, people are so crazy these days that we would never dare to send our 12-year-old, our 13-year-old, because my brother did it too, to a stranger's house door to door to collect money. I mean, we have adults that are delivering the papers now in the middle of the night in their cars. Not nearly as fun, right? Not nearly as fun. So it's just crazy how times have changed. So in this generation, we've had the privilege of being that transition, right? So the older generation didn't really ever know. Like my grandma, she's 91, and we just got her a laptop this last year. She's 91 years old. She just got a laptop. She's still using a box TV. Still using a box TV. You guys, I'm not kidding. And she still watches her Young and the Restless and her Days of Our Lives and All My Children. I don't know, all those things. Dr. Phil. And she uses her laptop. She's 91 years old. So the generation before, a lot of them didn't even do digital, right? And then you've got the millennials who never did analog. They don't know what it's like. They don't have those memories. So we've got this very unique generation in the middle that transitioned. We're the people who didn't get cell phones till we were 18, 25, 30 years old, right? We transitioned from analog into digital. We brought that in. It's very unique. And I'm thankful that I have those memories. I'm definitely thankful that I have those memories. And I try and instill these types of things into our children. And Quincy too. It's not just for nostalgia, because they are beneficial. They create, they instill a productive freedom. It's not a destructive freedom. And so we try and instill those things into our kids. Some of those analog times, right? Learning how to read an analog clock. Learning how to use an actual dictionary. Mind you, dictionary on my phone is the most used app on my phone. The thesaurus and the dictionary, I absolutely love those two tools. I use them all the time. But I teach my kids how to use an actual dictionary, right? What if something was to go down? What if digital goes down? They have to know how to navigate the world if the digital realm goes down, which we know they can turn off at any point in time, right? So, anyways, okay. Kids don't know how to play outside. No, my kids were outside all year last year. They were the only kids outside playing during the whole, the only kids outside playing. But I'll tell you what, when it comes down to it, I'm not being locked in the house with 5 anxious, rambunctious boys all summer long. Not going to happen. Nope. Gone outside. That's how that works. So anyways, I have definitely passed my time. I was going to do an hour, but here I am rambling on. Okay, so Quincy is going to the Roe versus Wade legal begin on Wednesday. If you'd like to donate to that, it's definitely another expensive trip, just like Kenosha was. But this is a big deal, guys. We could definitely see some huge legal changes regarding abortion. And he is headed out on his way on Wednesday. So if you guys would like to donate to that, to get him out there, because there's going to be a lot of people out there. This is a huge deal. How long have people been fighting for fighting against abortion, right? Since it happened, since Roe versus Wade happened, and there have been 65 million plus babies who have been aborted since the law was enacted. We could see a huge thing with this. Huge. This is going to, we've seen this kind of state by state has made their little plays here, but this is a federal situation that we're talking about here. This is a big ordeal, and this is definitely something that to keep an eye on. So if you guys want to donate to that fund on americanstreets.com, and this will be exciting. I am still going to be looking for a live audio feed for the Ghislaine Maxwell trial to see. It started today. I would really love to be able to stream even just the audio would be great. And also the Dante Wright trial starts tomorrow for Kim Porter, the officer who shot and killed, thought she was pulling her taser. So anyways, those are some things that maybe, and I'm thinking I'll be on probably Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 8:30 in the morning. But if I find some more information about the trial, then that could change. And also about the Supreme Court abortion trial that's going on. So we've got a lot of stuff going on this week that just kind of come out of the it's all falling on us all at once. There's a lot going on. Oh man. So yes, if you guys want to donate to that abortion trip, anti-abortion trip, on americanstreets.com. And hopefully I will see you guys, if not tomorrow, on Wednesday morning at 8:30. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me and setting your notifications to so that you know when I come on. I really appreciate that. I am FranklyJamee, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will bye.